Hello, everyone. I'm Danielle Moon, founder of Women in Power, and today I am joined with the amazing Ariel, and she's going to tell us a little bit about herself, and we're going to go through a nice little line of questions so that you guys can get to know her, as we like to do in this community, which is feature women who are within the community and what they're doing. So let's get this thing started. First off, Ariel, please tell us a little bit about yourself.
Oh, thanks for having me, Danielle. Excited to be here. A little bit about me. So, my name is Ariel Upton. Professionally, my job is head of growth. I work at a Microsoft partner. We're called Route 16. What does that mean? Marketing and sales strategy. So, that is what I think about this growth. I am a career marketer, but have really moved closer towards these positions that combine sales and marketing together. So, that is kind of my professional background. Personally, I currently live in Charlottesville, Virginia. I spent 4 years living abroad in Sweden. I'm originally from Southwest Florida. I love to travel. And I joke that I probably care more about CRM than anyone should. But that's a fun fact about me. So excited to be here with you.
Oh my gosh, I love it. So first of all, this summer we did go through Virginia, and I will say, your state's a little like well kept secret. We were astonished with how pretty it is. So like good on y'all for keeping a well like done secret of how pretty aesthetically like there's mountains and like all these like
And so many
living in
trees.
so many trees. Living in Texas, mountains will always get me. I'm like, you're a beautiful little mountain. So that's amazing. And I think it's always fun when you have something like the CRM and that's your passion. Like it's just a cool thing to be able to do. So
Yeah.
when we think about what drew you to the community, what can you kind of think of that was like, yes, I want to be part of this chaos?
Yeah. So, candidly and honestly, and you didn't know this answer, it's you, right? So when I was connected with you, I actually think a lot of my best decisions and kind of like where I go in life is I'm following really good people, and it's as simple as that. And so I was fortunate enough to be introduced to you through one of my colleagues who you've worked with before, who I worked with before, that I have a lot of trust and respect for. And really, those kinds of connections, and that's like a big theme in almost, I think, everything we'll talk about today, is
Yeah.
what drew me is when you have smart people who are engaged and energized about something, and it aligns with what I'm interested in, I follow that. Like that's kind of the spidey sense. So what originally drew me to this community was your vision. And I'm a huge believer in communities and networking, and I'm not part of anything that's specific within the Microsoft world. So it's just a slam dunk.
Oh my God, I love that. And I'm also going to try not to get red in the face. So, were you looking to get anything specific out of the community when you joined, or was it more just an open-ended, what is this going to be about?
Yeah, so I think kind of intentionally a little bit, you know, networks of any kind are really important, like pivotal, I think, in anyone's professional development. No one is responsible for your career except you is some of the best advice I've ever been given. And
It is.
the best way to do that is to meet other great people and network with them. There is something specifically advantageous of being in a network that is related to your industry or the ecosystem you work in. So I'm very fortunate. I'm part of several other female networking communities, but they're not related to the work that, like the place I live all day, every day,
Yeah.
which is Microsoft, which is Power Platform. And so, specifically getting out of it, I know all of the benefits to being in a community like this, but I was missing something that was so targeted within my industry, within that kind of ecosystem. So, that's what I'm really excited about.
Amazing. So, um, tell us, how did you actually get started in the Power Platform? Like, what's your origin story?
So my origin story got to go way back. 10 years ago, worked in marketing for another Microsoft partner firm. It's a company called Sonoma Partners. So this was all Dynamics, right? So 10 years ago, pre-Power. And I loved that universe. I loved being in the Microsoft world. And personally, like I mentioned, I went and lived abroad. I went down a different path, which I'm so happy I did at the time. I learned so much when I left Sonoma Partners. But I knew I always wanted to get back into the Microsoft ecosystem. It was not a question of if, it was just a question of when. And on my first day at Route 16, it was actually at last year's Power Platform Conference. So it was October, it was in Las Vegas, and I see Charles Lamanna's keynote about Power Platform. And I remember they were showing the power of like Power Pages. And I, as a marketer, I turned to one of our co-founders on the development side and I said, wait, could I rebuild this tool or this tool or this tool in Power? Like connecting the dot of, I don't
Yeah.
need to go buy this. We can just build it here. So that's how I got started. That was like my first day. It was like the fire hose of the art of the possible of, wait, I could replace all of these other tools I need for like one or two features and functions with something custom built in Power. Like, let's go. So that's how I got started.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome. Well, and I think like anytime you see Charles Lamanna or like Ryan Cunningham or any of those people up on the stage, like I always walk away being like, okay, yes, like we can do even more. We can do greater things. So so would you consider yourself functional, technical, or a little something else?
I'm definitely something else.
Yeah.
Definitely something else. Not only just by my job title, but yeah, so I think about it as translation, right? I'm really excited by this moment with Power and then with traditional marketing and selling is telling this story to companies and telling the story, not even companies, that's like so lack of human, but talking to other marketers, talking to other sellers, which is my favorite thing to do is like, how does your team actually work today? What are what are the strategies you're running? What are the tactics you're doing? What tools are you inevitably having to use to do them? And translating what we're doing today into what could be possible with Power. So I really view like I'm definitely a something else. And that's what I mean, marketing is storytelling, right? It's and I really like that translation is taking kind of that technical. I think a lot of times marketers, even if you're a technical marketer, even if you're a product marketer, just replacing the story of what we're doing today with what could be. So that's definitely, I spend a lot of my time imagining apps we could build or workflows we could run or pages we
That's
could
when you know
create.
you're something special is when I kid you not, I have had times where something has hit me at like 10:30 at night and I have messaged one of the guys that I work with and I'm like, what if we did this? And it's like it's that dreamer. So I would say you're a liaison and a dreamer, like that's it.
I love that. I love that.
Okay, so when looking at, towards the most, sorry, looking at like the community and what you're
Yeah.
looking at towards the most, like what would that be?
Yeah, so I think just serendipitous timing, right, of getting involved with the community earlier this summer is that this year's Microsoft Power Platform Conference is coming up in 6 weeks, 4 weeks, 4 weeks.
Like 33 days away or
Yeah.
something crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, closer to 4 than 6.
Yeah.
And I love meeting people in person, right? I love making connections and, working with you, working with the community to bring all of the women in power together and planning something at Power Platform. So I think the thing that I'm immediately most looking forward to is meeting so many members of the community. And this is the call. If you're watching this, if you're headed to Power Platform, send Danielle or I a note on LinkedIn, connect with us. We want to meet you. We want to invite you to this event that we're putting together. And that's truly, I think we're going to get a lot of momentum and just really the why we're doing this is just we're gonna be able to feed off of it for so long to come.
Yeah, I think that is truly, I'm ready to break some records. Like you say the capacity is this, let's double that. Like let's that's I think one of the top tier moments that will just be super amazing is just walking around and connecting. I'm looking at ways that we can have like handouts and just a bunch of other stuff. So yes, for sure. Looking forward to the in-person moment. So what would you say that there's, if you were looking at why someone would want to connect with you, what would you say is the draw? If they don't know you now, why reach out to you?
Yeah, so for specifically talking in the context of the community, I think there's two things. Is one, if this is your first time joining a network, and you're
Yeah.
figure or first time being part of a community, let's talk. I would love to kind of
So
be a
intimidating though, right?
yes,
Like,
yes.
yeah, like
You're so
I
please
get you.
go. Yeah. If joining a new group, virtual spaces are incredible, right? It's so much access. It allows us to have a wider reach. It allows us to have a
Yeah.
really broad network, but it can be hard to kind of toe in virtually if you don't have that connection. So if you're new, if this is your first professional community or professional network that you're part of, please reach out to me. Let's talk about navigating it together. This is not my first time, and um, I want to help get as many people into the conversation as possible. So if you're feeling kind of that intimidation or apprehension, or you don't know where to start, let's have a one-on-one conversation, and I can help you kind of guide that. So I think that's the first main one. And then the second one, if you find yourself in this community and you're a citizen developer that is also a marketer and seller, let's jam, let's talk, right? And so I think that is I could talk about the ideas all day long, but I love learning how other people are using Power Plat. What are they replacing? What are they consolidating? What are they imagining and dreaming bigger? So if you're in kind of the same world of a growth role and also playing with Power Platform, let's talk.
Yeah, I think the main thing that I want out of this community too is just have virtual coffees. There's no shame in your game to ask for a virtual coffee. And like that's one thing
Oh,
I really want to push out there is navigating the Microsoft space. Like people know I am known for a pop in to be like, hi, we don't know you know, like I saw you on a call, you look amazing. You said something that just really resonated with me, and I'll put a virtual coffee on. So I think, you know, in the community, if there was a call to action, it's find somebody within the community that you don't know, look at what they're doing. If there's something that strikes you, put a virtual coffee out there, because this community is only as strong as each of us knowing each other and knowing where the strengths are. So I think, you know, as soon as you think marketing, your name's going to come to mind, right? Those type of things, that's part of why this whole community is going to be successful. So if you had a superpower, what would you say your superpower is?
this feels easy right now because I had a a dear friend really, but she was like an acquaintance through a previous customer, right? So we stayed in connection, talk about the power of network. She's so
Yeah.
brilliant. I think about um, I consider to be so lucky that she's in my network and is a peer and mentor of mine. But she said we were catching up last week, and she said this. So I really think that my superpower is enthusiasm. And so
Yeah.
I think that
You and
enthusiasm
I could
is
be combustible in a room, I think. Like
yeah, be careful. No sharp objects to like deflate these,
both
deflate
both
this.
of us are hands like crazy people and the excitement. So yeah. And also don't be intimidated by, I think, that too, right? Like that
Yeah,
is, I think you have a very approachable nature to you as well. So I think that's a
thank
big
you.
thing too.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That's very kind of you. And I think the thing about enthusiasm, though, is what are your yeses and what are your nos, right? So, like this idea of what are you passionate about? What are you interested in? I only have so many yeses to give. So do you, right? And so
Yes.
what are we really interested and engaged in? And then I go full court press on the enthusiasm for those things. And that's not that I don't care about other things. It's just I've got a limited amount of
Yeah.
yeses. And so I really take those seriously in that enthusiasm. And because then you find other people who are enthusiastic and it's magnets, right?
Yeah.
Enthusiasm is magnetism. So
Fill my cup, I fill your cup, and we just keep on going, you know,
exactly.
full on. So amazing. Well, thank you so much. Is there anything else for the community you want to share, you know, before we close out?
I'm just so excited to meet all of you. Thanks for joining us in this adventure. And let's keep talking on LinkedIn, right? We have the platform. Let's start the conversations. And like I said, if you're joining and don't know where to start, just message me. Like we're all living on LinkedIn, I think, with this community, and let's grow our network. So I'm excited to meet you all.
Amazing. Okay, Ariel, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank
Hopefully
you.
everyone, you know, got to know you a little bit better, and we can light up your LinkedIn messages and start growing that connections and network more. So thank you everyone for joining us today, and there will be more to come. All right. Bye everyone.
Bye.